So even the best in the world do this all the time. So that just shows us that we need to constantly be doing exactly the same thing to make sure that we are getting the most out of our weightlifting sessions. So a few weeks ago I had the worst session I have had in a really long time snatch wise. So on my program it was written that I had to go in and work up to a heavy single for the day. Obviously in my mind, like, I have the strongest sex I've ever had. I'm like feeling really strong and feeling really good. And so I went into that session thinking, right, I'm gonna snatch over 80 kilos and it's gonna be insane. I'm finally gonna hit over that 80 kilo snatch mark. But my body had other plans, you know? I went in that day and warming up actually didn't feel that bad. I think it felt fine. Maybe I rushed it a little bit and didn't quite give it enough time with the lower numbers like the 60s and could have done a few more, and 70 actually felt the best out of all of them. But then I put 75 on and I think I must have missed it probably 6 times. And the most frustrating thing about this, and you can see my frustration building with every single rep, is that it didn't feel heavy. And like, that's something that is so rare when you go for a run RM, for it not to feel heavy off the floor when you're like working up to a heavy lift, for it not to feel heavy off the floor, but it felt so light. And I felt so frustrated because I just didn't understand where I was going wrong, or like what my body was doing wrong in order for me to keep missing it. And sometimes I was like, I was watching it back and I was like, but this looks so close, I don't understand what I'm doing, why is it not working? And I was getting so angry at the fact that I couldn't snatch 75 when it felt so light and felt so easy, but yet hard because I kept missing it. I don't know whether this is something that you guys have a lot, but like, it's so frustrating when it feels like it should be right there, but you can't grasp it. It's like just out of your grasp, and I didn't understand why. It was so frustrating. Anyway, so the next week after that, I kind of had like a chance at redemption in that I had to then work up to a max hang snatch. And obviously having had that like really bad week the week before, I was like, right, all I want to do this week is hang snatch 75 to prove to myself that I'm not rubbish and that I actually can still snatch. So I managed to go in and I managed to hang snatch 75, and genuinely it was actually probably one of the best hang snatches I've ever done. Like, I like hang anyways because like, I'm quite powerful at the hips. If I manage to switch on at the arm just in time, like, it works really well for me. So I was redeemed. I felt redeemed. I felt like my soul had been cured. But I kind of wanted to talk about this whole weightlifting thing where this just happens and like, you kind of just have to take it in your stride. Now obviously it's easy for me to now look back and be like, it's okay, like, snatch is so technical, sometimes it's really just like, it's not about that, you just have to kind of like accept it and it's day-to-day thing. Obviously retrospectively it's so easy for me to look back, or for anyone to look back and just be like, oh well, that wasn't my day, I wasn't like technically on cue, like it could have been better, blah blah blah. When you're in the moment, it is so hard to just sit and like mull over the fact that you weren't able to do a number that you do all the time. Like, a number that I've power snatched, I couldn't full snatch. Like, it's so frustrating and so hard to swallow, that nasty pill. But it just happens. And it's really easy to kind of like let your mind spiral and go like, I'm not feeling strong, I'm obviously really weak, like all the work I've done is just wasted, I shouldn't have bothered, what a waste of time, my weightlifting career is rubbish, I'm rubbish, like, and trust me, I did that all the time. After that session where I missed the 75, I literally packed my bag up and left the gym because I was so upset with how rubbish I was that I just left. Obviously then I came back and did a workout because the only people who lose are those who give up, so I couldn't give up. But yeah, it's so easy to feel like all of the work that you've done is just for nothing, and to kind of like let yourself be bombarded with the nasty thoughts. And really the reality is, especially in the snatch, it is the most technical movement you can do with a barbell. Like, I don't care what anyone says, the snatch is the hardest movement you can do with a barbell, and it is so precise that if one thing is off, it's going to throw your whole lift out of whack. And at the beginning when I said even the best do this, what I'm referring to is stripping everything back. So constantly reworking on your snatch technique, constantly reworking on positions, constantly reworking on elements of your lift that can be improved, because even the best in the whole world, like the best of the best, have technical elements that they work on all the time. Like, it can't just be lifting heavy weights all the time. That's not conducive to the most successful weightlifting that you can do, the most successful weightlifter that you can be. Even the best in the world constantly miss weights that they have done hundreds of times before. And that is what's most frustrating about weightlifting, is that no matter what level you get to, well, most frustrating and also most rewarding, no matter what level you get to, you always have to like continuously work on technique, continuously work on refining the movement, continuously work on making sure that you are as efficient and, well, as efficient as possible, basically. And it's never, there's never a moment where you can sit back and be like, oof, I'm done, you know, I've perfected it, I'm a bloody genius. You know, some days it will genuinely feel like that. Some days I genuinely do walk away from the gym and I'm like, oh my God, I'm the best snatcher in the whole world. But really that just isn't the case. But that is what is so important to remember, is that if the best in the world are doing it, why are we not constantly, once we get to a certain level, like once I power snatched 75, like I knew that was like pretty much top end. Like that was my moment to be like, right, Han, now we're gonna go back and we're gonna start building back up again, and we're gonna refine some more technical stuff so that next time when you come to snatching, power snatching 75, it's technically so much better than this one, and you know that you will be able to power snatch 80. So choosing specific moments where you've reached a weight, you're like, actually, I'm really pleased with that. Let's go back and start building on that again. Crucial moments in weightlifting that I just didn't quite nip, you know, I didn't quite get. The nature of weightlifting is the fact that you do just constantly have to strip stuff back again and just start from the beginning and build back up. And whilst that can seem frustrating, it's also just a great opportunity to keep learning about yourself, your body, how you move, how to be more efficient, how to be stronger. And it's actually a really exciting way to just continue developing within the sport that I feel like I've been neglecting, that I feel like a lot of people do neglect, because we're always chasing the bigger numbers. Whereas if we chase the technical efficiencies and the technical like benefits, those chasing numbers will come. Like it's inevitable that you will be better and stronger. But if you work on those technical bits, they will come so much better and so much faster. Well, that's genuinely what I believe. I think another hurdle that I was facing, like when I was missing those 75 full snatches, is that in my mind, I haven't been snatching very much. Like coming from being an intermediate weightlifter where I was snatching and clean and jerking pretty much every single day, 5 days a week, if not 6 days a week. It's like you walk away from that and you're like, well, if I don't do it every day, I'm gonna be rubbish. Like I'm not gonna be able to do it. When the reality is, coming into CrossFit as an intermediate weightlifter, a very, very much beginner CrossFitter, is that you need to, like I need to realize that my focus shouldn't be on something that realistically I'm always gonna be able to snatch and clean and jerk. Like my brain knows what I'm doing. Yes, sometimes it won't feel as good as if I was snatching 5 days a week, but also my CrossFit isn't gonna get better if I'm snatching 5 days a week. I need to be putting more energy and more time into my fitness and making sure that that's getting up. So it has been hard to kind of like step back and be like, okay, well, that's okay that that's not feeling as good as it has felt, but to focus on like technical bits that I can control and make sure that I'm getting better at in the time that I'm trying to focus on getting my fitness back up, where I can't focus as much on getting as strong as I was before, or stronger than I was before. In any sport there always has to be some give and take, and I think that right now I'm at a stage where I need to take back the numbers a bit and give more effort to the technical aspects to make sure that I am more refined. You know, the missing that 75 full snatch is obviously, it's inevitable that I'm gonna have bad days, and that's okay. But to know that I've been putting in the technical work would be just that little bit of reassurance and that little bit of comfort that I need when I'm not lifting heavy all the time. And I think that's kind of what I had to learn from it. Like, it's not always gonna be like PBs and like great lifts, and like it's not always gonna be like that. It's gonna be hard work, and sometimes you're gonna wanna give up and sometimes you're not gonna wanna do it, but you just gotta keep going. It's knackering, but that is the nature of the beast, you know? So yeah, I basically just wanted to make this video to just say, like, everyone has terrible sessions, but what most people don't do when they have terrible sessions is strip it all back and then rebuild back up. Like, yes, I redeemed myself with that 75 kilo hang snatch, but I didn't fix the root of the problem, because I still, well, I may have been able to snatch 75 from the floor, but if I can work on the technical aspects that were stopping me from snatching 75 that day, then I will know that next time I go back up to that 75, those technical problems would have been fixed a bit more, and the likelihood of it happening are a lot less, you know? So Don't be afraid to strip it back. Don't be afraid to refocus on your technique and build back up with your technique and focus on your technique, because strength, as long as you're keeping your squats up, strength is going to be there. Like, yes, it might not feel as comfortable, and yes, it might take a bit of time, but trust me, having a better technique is just, it means that you can trust yourself when you get up to those top weights, because you know that you've put in the work and you know that you've built in those trusty movement patterns that you can rely on. So I hope that this helped. I hope this video did give you like a piece of information that you can use, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye!